With Survivor Series being in my hometown of Atlanta and seeing how, I don't know, for the last few years, every pay per view that was there was either subpar or they just completely gypped them, I will say this: the road to Survivor Series is starting to look pretty good. The intro really wasn't all that bad. It was kind of typical Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is, I will say, he's getting better as a heel. He's not as cowardly as he used to be, and he actually is proving that he is truly a champ, truly a good heel champ. And it was typical to have the authority out there pretty much setting up the main event, so I didn't really mind it that often. Well, I mean, I really mind it tonight. But as for Roman Reigns, I will say that I don't necessarily mind Roman Reigns having the push that he had. I will admit that before he was actually very, very, very green, as well as it was way too early for his push. But he's starting to find where he fits in, so it's not really too bad. So I don't really have any beef with Roman Reigns having the push that he's getting at this point. I kind of wish that Dean Ambrose had the same exact thing, but I'm gonna move on from there. The matches that actually did impress me the most definitely was the Divas match. I really didn't expect to see a Divas match that good on a Raw, but it was really that good. That Fatal 4-Way felt like a Fatal 4-Way. It felt like these women were going all out. And I'm actually noticing that on tonight's Raw, it was a lot of aggression in the ring. Like they really weren't holding back so much for this whole PG thing, which starting to make me believe that the PG era is probably coming to a close. Now that NXT is becoming very popular at having aggressive wrestling, I really feel that they're actually encouraging their wrestlers now on primetime TV to start wrestling a little bit more aggressively. And I did notice that when I actually watched some of the matches tonight, and I was highly impressed. The Divas match got the respect that it deserved, especially the fact that it got, Sasha Banks out there, but I don't agree with the finish. Even though that they're still pushing Paige to be at WrestleMania, I don't know, like I don't know whether or not they're pushing Paige to be towards to actually face Charlotte towards WrestleMania, but it seems to me that Sasha Banks is the hottest ticket. But the one thing I am hoping, and it might go in that direction, and I think that Mr. Griffin actually did do a video on this, and it actually makes sense that they do this. That if they actually have, well, actually, they are going to have a match with Paige versus Charlotte at Survivor Series. I don't think that Paige is going to win. I actually think that Paige is going to lose, probably by Sasha Banks somewhat interfering, or maybe she's just going to lose clean and just completely cut it off, and then go into a feud between Sasha and Charlotte, which would be an excellent match for WrestleMania. If they are able to hold off until WrestleMania, Charlotte versus Sasha would be amazing, and I think they know that. And don't get me wrong, I got no beef with Paige. I still love Paige. I think Paige is great. But they dumbed her down so much that you really can't get into her as much as she used to. Because I loved her when she was on NXT as the anti diva. I loved the fact that she was her own class of diva. I love that. But they water her down so much that and even her being healed just doesn't seem natural. So I'm kind of hoping that somehow she gets back to her more familiar roots, and she starts to become a lot more comfortable with her character again. Because it would be nice to actually see a triple threat. I would be fine to see a triple threat between Paige, Sasha, and Charlotte. It would be amazing. If they do this at WrestleMania, it would be amazing. So I'm hoping they actually do pull that off. But only time will tell. We have a few months till that happens. So we'll just hold off for that dream match from there. But I will say this: The Miz gets in where he fits in. I will say that he gets in where he fits in. He does whatever he can possibly try to do, and it makes me feel bad that he's not really getting as much airtime as he should. But unfortunately, he doesn't really got a lot going for him. And I really would, and I know I don't want to make it sound like this is a graveyard video, because it isn't. And I know I am going to do one. But anyway, let's move on from there. Cesaro is amazing. I'm happy that Cesaro had a chance to get a win, because Cesaro really does need a push. He does. But let's talk about the most I'm not going to talk about the most epic, but it's the most intriguing. And it can actually be a very good source of I don't want to say power, but I will say this. It will make them look so good if they pull this off. Now, for the Wyatt family, that segment that they have, Eater of Worlds, more like Eater of Souls or Conqueror of Souls. And that would be, I think Eater of Souls will probably be, will sound more like Shang Tsung. But either or, the fact that they had Bray Wyatt saying he devoured the souls of The Undertaker and Kane, and how they actually kind of made him look like he kind of absorbed their abilities, was amazing. I'm hoping they don't screw this up, because the Wyatt family, those, you haven't seen psychotic kills like that since ever. And I'm not even going to mention the oddities. Even though I love the oddities, they really weren't heelish or anything. They were just odd. But as for the Wyatt family, these psychotic kills should have been pushed as being one of the most not deadly, but one of the most threatening groups besides the Nexus in the WWE. They should be a threat. They should look like a threat. That's a threat. When you see that happening, that's pretty freaking awesome. So I'm hoping they don't screw this up and they actually make them powerful. This needs to be a passing of the torch from Taker to the Wyatt family. This needs to happen. But they've dropped the ball with Bray Wyatt so many times. I mean, how can you literally get invested in this guy when he lost clean to Roman Reigns? So they really, honestly, truly need to pull this off and not dumb it down. They need to make him look as powerful as he can be. They need to make him look dominant. Not just Bray Wyatt, but the entire Wyatt family. Shoot, you brought back from the new guy, Braun Strowman, to Luke Harper, and then you bring back Eric Rowan. You gotta make them look good, and I'm hoping they don't mess this up. I'm hoping that they'll dominate on from Survivor Series to the Royal Rumble and beyond that to WrestleMania. I'm hoping that when they hit WrestleMania, they are at their peak of dominance. I don't want to see Taker there. I don't want to see Kane come out. I want to see them be so dominant to where it's just that it has to take leagues of people to stop them. I haven't seen a heel like that in so long. Since the Divas division, the only heel that I've actually seen that has dominated every woman there was Beth Phoenix. And it took Mickie James to take her down. But it took her multiple times to do it. Nobody else could do it but her. I want to see somebody do that. And not John Cena. And I think John Cena has gone on hiatus for a while. So I don't think that we're going to see him for a while. But either or, it needs to be somebody that can build up something to take them down. And I'm hoping that the Wyatt family becomes that dominant. But we'll see from there, man. But let's move on. Well, pretty much to one of the most confusing segments I've ever seen, but has a bit of intrigue for me. It was nice to see Jack Swagger. It really was. We haven't seen Jack Swagger in a while. But I'm just like Jack Swagger. Why the heck did Zeb Coulter, the biggest racist of the WWE for months, close to a year, end up talking about bringing two countries together, Mexico and the U.S. together in harmony? When did this happen? I'm just like Jack Swagger, scratching my head at this storyline. Okay, what happened and how, why, and why Del Rio? But either or, I'm hoping that Jack Swagger somehow fits in the middle of this feud and somehow has something for a pay-per-view, because the guy is great. They haven't really thrown him a bone, and I'm really looking forward for him to actually be on a card on a decent pay-per-view. So I'm kind of intrigued on how they're going to make the storyline go. And with Jack Swagger in there, it might be interesting. And plus he's getting better when it comes to remembering his dialogue. So honestly, I'm curious. I'm really curious to see where this goes, and I hope they don't screw this up. But let's talk about the main event. Now, I know there's other matches that I probably did not talk about, and also the return of Xavier Woods. And I hate to say it, but I was crunk. I was the happiest I've ever been to see Xavier Woods return with that trombone. And I can't stand the New Day. That shows how much I like Xavier Woods. That shows how much I like what he has done with the New Day. Because he's the biggest entertainment there is. The New Day was born without him. And now he was there, it was fun. Even funnier, the fact he came in there and got taken out within 5 seconds. Funny. Bad, but funny. But then it's not really bad for the New Day because the New Day's still hot. So it doesn't really matter. It's not going to affect Xavier Woods or anything. But it was great to see him out there, even though it was for a split second. But despite all that, that was a great Survivor Series, I guess, teaser, maybe? Because at first I was kind of pissed. I'm like, why in the world are you doing this? Why are you doing a Survivor Series match on Raw? Shouldn't you, like, have a build-up to who Roman Reigns is going to get? And then who Seth Rollins is going to get? Seth Rollins, we knew who he was getting right off the bat. But I will say one thing they did was clever. They kept the fifth guy. Well, they kept the first guy. The first individual's secret. And then everybody else was obvious. You knew that they were gonna have Dean Ambrose on there because that's his homie. Ryback, you kind of sort of expected it would be Ryback since he's the big guy. But it was awesome to see the Usos make their return, man. It really, really was. The Usos I wasn't expecting. Even though they're related, you didn't expect it because they were injured for so long. Like, I think Jay was injured for 6 months. So we didn't think we were going to ever see him again. But honestly, it was great. It was really great seeing Jay Uso out there and seeing Jimmy out there again. And they were out there for a good bit. It was enjoyable. I liked that Survivor Series match, and I like the fact it ended on a DQ and not a clean win, because you don't necessarily want a clean win for a Survivor Series match. You want anticipation. You want build-up. You want people to be interested in this feud. So I'm kind of happy that they ended on a DQ. That was a good call for them. It really, really was. And honestly, my overall thoughts is this. I enjoyed this Raw. I feel like that they're starting to understand what's going on, and they're actually trying to piece together what's working and what's not. But I'm just saying that for tonight's show. I'm not saying it necessarily overall. But they're working on that. Especially now that WrestleMania is coming up, they gotta be on their A game. And it looks like that they're actually doing a pretty good job, and Survivor Series is gonna be looking pretty well. So I enjoyed the show. I thought it was great. I enjoyed a lot of bits of it. And honestly, I think they're going to have a really good card leading on up to Survivor Series. But guys, I want to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment in the comment section below. Or if you do send me a video response, go ahead and do that. But I want to hear y'all's thoughts about tonight's Raw, what you would change, what you would add in there, and what you think about Survivor Series and how the card's going to turn out so far. But I want to hear y'all's thoughts. Nature Girl 30 signing off. Peace out, guys. Later.